Mayoral Candidate Forum. I am a proud mother of a Rocketeer at Rocket Ship Discovery Prep. Our goal for this forum is to become better informed voters for the mayoral primary election on Tuesday, June 7th. It's coming up real soon. Today we're doing something special. This forum is organized by parents, for parents, and our community. We as a parent community have invited all candidates. We have selected issues and topics that we will be discussing today. We believe that the future of our city lies in our ability to ensure that every child's academic success is in a thriving community that supports all of its citizens. Joining us today are the 2022 San Jose mayoral candidates: Council Member Raul Perales, Council Member Matt Mahan, Council Member Dave Davis, Supervisor Cindy Chavez, Marshall Woodmansee, and we'd like to inform the audience that former Police Sergeant Jim Spence notified us this morning that he would not be able to join us due to a recent and unforeseen circumstance. We thank you all for responding to our invitation and making our community a priority today. Can I get 2 claps for the candidates? Thank you. Throughout today's event, join us in the conversation by taking photos and posting on social media using the hashtag RocketShipVotes.
Hello, I am Ana Padilla Lopez, a founding parent leader from Rocket Ship Fuerza Community Prep. I am honored to co-chair this event for the night. I would like to introduce Marisela Guerrero, California's first ever Executive Director of Rocket Ship Public Schools.
No, go ahead. Thank you, Ana. Gracias, Ana. Bienvenidos. Welcome, everybody. Let me hear Rocket Ship. Woo! Welcome, everybody. My name is Marisela Guerrero, and I am the proud California Executive Director. I was also a teacher, a founding teacher for Rocket Ship, Mateo Shidi, and their principal. I also was the founding principal of Rocket Ship Fuerza Community Prep. Woo! It is an honor to be here with all of you today to see the power of our parents come alive. 15 years ago, I stood here with our parents as they organized their communities to making sure that they fight for Rocket Ship Public Schools to bring high quality education options in San Jose. 15 years later, Rocket Ship has delivered its promise to our families, to all of you guys. All of our California Rocket Ship schools have been recognized by the California Department of Education as California Distinguished Schools and California Pivoted Practice Schools. Round of applause, because this is your work as parents, our students, our staff, our teachers, our school leaders. So thank you. In addition to Rocket Ship providing high quality education, we also prioritize the power of parents. We believe that parents can use their voices to make communities stronger and help our children be better prepared for the future. Parent power is a fundamental pillar of Rocket Ship Public Schools, and it has been the core of our work since day one. Look at here today, look at it. It's amazing, and this is a testament to the power of our organized Rocket Ship community. I am honored to introduce our current San Jose Mayor, Sam Lacardo, to share us with a few opening remarks. Sam?
Gracias. Bienvenidos a todos. Muy buenas tardes. Es un gran placer para servirles como su alcalde. Gracias a Rocket Ship y a todos ustedes por unirnos hoy, más importante, por elevar las aspiraciones y oportunidades educativas para miles de nuestros niños aquí en San José. Estoy agradecido a todos ustedes, a todos los padres, la comunidad, y para involucrarse en los temas del gobierno de la ciudad y su impacto en la educación de sus niños. Y muchas gracias por permitirme servirle como su alcalde durante los últimos 8 años. It's my great thank you. I was up here 8 years ago, and I was inspired then by how this rocket ship community has mobilized, gotten parents and families engaged to support their children and to drive our city forward. And because of you and because of how involved you've been, together we've done great things. The city has invested itself in education in new ways, and after-school programs like San Jose Learns, expanding summer learning as well, coding 5K, helping 8,000 kids get access to computer science and coding classes, and summer jobs for thousands of our teams through San Jose Works, and now through Resilience Corps, and now with San Jose Inspires, helping thousands of East San Jose high school students be able to earn micro scholarships and a pathway to college. All this because you have mobilized and told us that education is important to you. Gracias a ustedes, thank you. We're blessed to have great candidates behind me to my left who will be taking over. One of them will be taking over when I'm gone, and I hope you will continue to push and inspire them to continue to invest in your children because your children deserve it. Gracias a todos ustedes.
Thank you, Mayor McCarthy, for all you've done to support families across San Jose. We are honored with your presence today. I'd like to invite all the families that are around the edge to please come sit down, take a seat. This is going to be a lot of great questions. We want you to be involved. Please come take your seat here. We are going to commence, we're going to start with some of the questions.
Una vez más, les pedimos por favor a todas las familias, maestros y demás gente que por favor tome un asiento hacia enfrente, cualquier asiento que está disponible para que se llenen todo hacia enfrente y que escuchen lo que tienen que decir nuestros candidatos.
Also, we notice there are other elected officials joining us. I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge the elected officials joining us today. We ask that you hold your applause until the end. Blanca Alvarado is on FaceTime watching us. Please hold your applause till the end. Joseph DeSalvo, SCOE trustee. Peter Ortiz, SCOE trustee and candidate for San Jose Council District 5. Omar Torres, Evergreen Community College trustee and candidate for San Jose City Council District 3. Karen Martinez, Evergreen Community College trustee. Patrick Aarons, Foothill Dianza Community College trustee. Johnny Camus, San Jose City Council District 10 and candidate for County Supervisor District 1. Magdalena Carrasco, San Jose City Council District 5. We apologize if we are missing any elected officials here today. If you are an elected leader, can you please stand and be recognized? And thank you for joining us today.
Before we get started, we want to name the agreements of this community forum. This is a rocket ship volunteer parent-led event. This is not an open forum. Parents have created concise and structured agenda. Rocket Ship Public Schools is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We do not and cannot support or oppose any of the candidates. Our intention here today is to learn. We ask our larger community, please respect this as well and refrain from opposing or supporting any candidate during the event. All guests have been provided with a question in advance and will have equal time to respond. All media and news outlets, please hold your questions or interviews until after the program. I would like to introduce our wonderful parent leader, Lilian, who she will be reading this next portion in Spanish. You may look on the screen or in your program for the translation.
Buenas tardes. Soy Lilian Cartagena, mamá líder de Rocket Ship Mosaic. Hoy voy a leer la credencial. En las escuelas públicas de Rocket Ship creemos en las infinitas posibilidades del potencial humano. Creemos que cada estudiante merece el derecho de soñar, descubrir y desarrollar su potencial único. Es nuestra responsabilidad y nuestro privilegio liberar el potencial dentro de cada roquetero que servimos. Nuestra organización sin fines de lucro de escuelas públicas charter elementales impulsa el logro estudiantil, desarrolla educadores excepcionales y se asocia con padres que permiten que las escuelas públicas de alta calidad prosperen en su comunidad. Somos un comité regional de padres organizadores voluntarios de las escuelas Rocket Ship de San José. Nos unimos para hacer un trabajo colaborativo, abogando por la justicia educativa en nuestra comunidad.
Thank you, Lilian, for credentialing our volunteer parent leader team. Now, my powerful co-chair will share her testimony.
Hello everyone, I am Ana Padilla Lopez. I currently have my daughter Andrea in Rocket Ship Puesta and my son Angel at Renaissance Fisher. Growing up in East San Jose, I have lived my whole life in the Tropicana neighborhood, a low-income immigrant community. My grandfather came to this country as a farm worker through the Bracero program, and in 1979, my mother immigrated to San Jose to join him. My mother worked and lived for over 40 years of her life in San Jose as a tax-paying immigrant. She wanted to have a better life, and there wasn't much future for women in Mexico. She lived in a very dangerous neighborhood and wanted to feel safe. She wanted her children to have a good education, food on the table, and a roof over our head. My mom was a hard-working single mother for most of my life, and she worked over 12 hours a day. My mom's biggest regret was not spending enough time with her children, but she knew that she had to sacrifice it in order for us to have a better future. I also remember my stepdad not having papers and working from job to job. His employers would keep on checking his residency status, and he would have to find a new employment. He didn't get a good job until he gained his permanent residency in the construction. My mom ended up becoming a citizen in 1999. As a child, I used to have to help her study for her citizenship test. Becoming a citizen to her was very exciting because she always wanted this and wanted to make sure my grandparents would stay in this country as well. My grandmother had been working as well for her citizenship. However, she did not receive the approval until it was many years past, and it was way too late. Because when we received the approval, she had already passed away. Our immigration process hasn't changed in over 40 years. It is time for reform, and we cannot wait for Congress to pass this reform. We must start with our local leaders, and the next mayor can play a major role in this. For my family, elections and voting are very important. We began voting at the age of 18, and even my grandpa, until this age was 94, still votes in every election. We grew up hearing, if you don't vote, don't complain about the issues that matter to you. We trust that elected officials are making the decisions for our lives on a daily basis. And although immigrants cannot vote, they are entitled to weigh in on the issues into our community. The East Side immigrants matter, but sometimes are often forgotten. This is why today, as organizers of this event, we're hosting it in the heart of San Jose. These are our families, these are our students, these are our hopes, and these are our dreams. We matter, and we deserve a mayor that makes all of our voices equally heard and valued equally. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna, for sharing your powerful story. Your voice matters. This is why we organize. Now we will move on to questions. For the sake of fairness, of order, parent leaders randomized the order in which each candidate will respond to each question. Your name will be called when it is your turn to answer, and you have the order in front of you. As a reminder to our guests, you will now have a minute for your opening statements and 90 seconds to answer each following question. We ask you please stick to the 90-second limit to ensure that we end on time. Becca, in the front, will hold a card up when you have 1 minute left, 30 seconds left, 15 seconds left, and when your time is up. This is not an open forum, and due to time constraints, there will be no rebuttals.
At this time, we ask each of the candidates will have 1 minute to introduce yourself and share as to why you decided to run for mayor. We will start with candidate Woodman.
Hello. Hello, everybody. Woo! My name is Marshall Allen Woodmansey, and I am running to be your next mayor of San Jose because I care about our basic needs and making sure that we have a livable future in San Jose and across the world. I recognize our important position as the 10th largest city in the nation, the powerhouse of the 5th largest economy in the world, and I'm a 21-year-old trying to represent all of that. I think I'm the best qualified candidate because I was born in the 21st century and recognize our changing needs as a humanity. We need safer streets, we need to eliminate speeding, we need to create food from home, we need to make sure that we have access to water forever because that's important for me. I was raised in the Rose Garden neighborhood right next to the Guadalupe River, and I've experienced homelessness. I've experienced some issues with healthy choices, and I'm really abusing my body in high school. And now I'm so proud to be standing in front of all of you and say that there is a future. The future is bright, and I hope that all of you have been okay during this COVID pandemic. I look forward to leading you to a bright future.
Thank you. Candidate Matt Mahan.
Gracias a Rocket Ship por invitarnos y buenas tardes a todos. Me llamo Matt Mahan and I am representing District 10 where my wife Sylvia and I are raising our two little children, Nina and Luke, ages 4 and 2. I'm so grateful to Rocket Ship and what you represent in our community as a beacon of hope and opportunity. I grew up in a working class family in Watsonville and came to San Jose 4 hours a day by bus for a better life, for an education. I came to school here as a work-study scholarship student, came back after Harvard as a Teach for America teacher here in Owl Rock, got to know many of our local families, and I am committed to building a city government that solves our biggest challenges: affordable housing, homelessness, trash, crime, supporting our small businesses, and a city hall that serves all of our residents equally well. Thank you so much for having us here this evening.
Next, we will have candidate Peral.
Finish your term, Matt.
Hello. Muy buenas tardes, estoy muy orgulloso que puedo estar aquí con todos ustedes hoy y enfrente quemando también. My name is Raul Morales, and it's a pleasure to be here with all of you. I'm a lifelong resident here in the city of San Jose, proud to be the product of a humble working-class family and an immigrant father who immigrated into this country undocumented, grew up here in Alviso picking the crops of the Valley of Heart's Delight. I'm proud to be the first in my family to be able to graduate from college right here at San Jose State University. I went on to be a teacher, an EMT, a San Jose police officer, and for the last 7 years, a council representative here in the downtown core. I'm now raising my 2 children, my son Jorge, my daughter Sofia, and all the issues that we're dealing with here in the city are very personal to me. Challenges with homelessness, the lack of affordable housing, public safety, and I want to help make San Jose a city where all of us can afford to live, where we become the safest big city in the country again, and I look forward to engaging you all tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we will have candidate Chavez.
All right, did this work? Can you hear me all okay? Well, good evening, everyone. All right. Good evening, everyone. I'm really delighted to be with all of you. My name is Cindy Chavez. I'm a member of the Santa Clara County Board of Supervisors, and I previously served as a member of the San Jose City Council. I'm delighted to be with all of you because you're parents and children, but parents who deeply, deeply care about this city, are investing in your child's education. And I'm honored to be here tonight because the reason I'm running for mayor is I believe so deeply in the activism of this community. I believe it can make us the safest big city in America again, a clean city, that we can address homelessness, that we can make this an affordable place for people to live. And I am just delighted to have this conversation with you and look forward to your questions. Thank you so much for letting me join you.
Thank you. Last, we will have candidate Davis.
Buenas tardes. Me llamo Bev Davis. One thing I've learned as a council member over the last 5.5 years is that in the worst of times, big problems get bigger. But I've also learned that by working together, good things can happen even in the worst of times. San Jose has big problems: homelessness, public safety, blight, and it is time for us to work together, and it's time for us to restore San Jose's status. We can be a safe, clean, and thriving city again. My husband and I are raising 2 teens here. We started our life here in San Jose 18 years ago, in Japantown and then in Alum Rock, where we raised 2 children, and now we live in Willow Glen. But we have a heart for the East Side because we were art teachers for 4 years at a charter school on the East Side. Thank you for having us this evening.
Thank you, candidates. The following question will be asked by dedicated parent leader Melvis.
Good evening. I'm Melvis Cruz, the proud office manager at Rockship Los Sueños, as well as a parent leader with Rockship Fuerza. San Jose has the most expensive housing market in the country and the 5th most expensive housing market in the world. Unfortunately, this has a direct correlation of low-income communities being pushed out and has increased gentrification. I have seen this impact firsthand with my own family that cannot afford a home. If elected, how do you intend to create a pathway to ensure affordable housing opportunities for all?
Candidate Raul Perales.
Thank you very much. I grew up in affordable housing here in San Jose, a rent-controlled fourplex over in West San Jose, and if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have had the opportunity to stay in the same school district from K through 12. I wouldn't have had the opportunity to go on to college, and I wouldn't be here today. I'm a product of affordable housing, and because of that, I have been one of the strongest fighters in support of affordable housing over my last 7 years, and I have helped to build more affordable housing in my district, in District 3 of San Jose, over the last 7 years than any other council colleague of mine. It is a #1 priority for me because I've seen my family members, my friends, being forced out of the city of San Jose. I want to make the city a city where we can all continue to afford to live. And because of that, I have been a strong fighter for things that I will continue as your mayor. Things like strengthening rent control, strengthening our protections for tenants here. I'm proud to be one of the only candidates up here that's in support of Senate Bill 9, or Opportunity Housing, a light densification of housing here throughout our city. I'm also proud to be one of the few candidates here that's in support of the Community Opportunity to Purchase Act, or COPA. And I continue to be a staunch advocate for affordable housing because I know that's what our community desperately needs so that we can all stay here, all continue to afford to live here, and make that a community where our children can as well. Thank you.
Hello. Once again, I am a people's person. I don't have any corporate interests. I'm still working on my career. No major donors except for my girlfriend's parents. Thank you to Jeff Lantis. And I'm here because I recognize these big issues, but I also recognize how leadership in our community has maybe gone around constructing San Jose in a way that maybe hasn't worked for me and maybe you as well. Has anyone in here been in a car accident or been hit by a bike or anything? So there is a direct correlation between housing and the way we move around. And one thing that I want to work on, especially in forms of affordable housing, is making our neighborhoods, which we're all paying so much money for, a really great place to be. By halfway through my first term, I want us all to be able to play football or soccer on our roads again. I want to make home zones to really make sure that our neighborhoods are safe and protected from speeding. And more importantly, changing our direction from a business-centered community to a people-centered community. Our former mayor, Sam Licardo, has led us for 8 years, and someone at this table is going to lead you for another 4 or 8. And I think you should choose the San Jose State student because honestly, I'm so close to the issue, right? My parents bought a home for $400,000 20 years ago. But that's not going to be the life for me. And so I'm really ready to deal with our human issues. I'm ready to do creative and fun things to make sure we can all live in this space. Thank you.
Kennedy Chavez.
All right, thank you. Let me give you a number that I think you already know far too well. For a family of 4 to be self-sufficient in our community, you need to make $140,000 a year. So, what do we do about affordable housing? We need to build more housing at every income level, not just market rate housing. And in the state of California, we have primarily been building market rate housing. Because of many of you, we passed a housing bond, Measure A, and that housing bond is allowing us to build housing at extremely low, very low, and low income. So that's one thing. We need to build housing at every level. We need to build housing much faster than we're building it today, and we need your help to do that. We need to advocate for housing when it comes to our communities. We need to expand access to Section 8 vouchers. We haven't gotten more vouchers here in 20 years, even though our population's expanded enormously. And we need to work on community-based solutions. The county, under my direction, has invested in community development corporations and land trusts so we and you as a community can buy in the community instead of being displaced. I look forward to working with you on this issue.
And since we're experiencing some technical difficulties with the mic, we're going to be using this and just pass it along. Candidate Deb Davis.
Oh, okay. Okay, on. Sorry. Well, there are. Okay. Okay, are we getting a signal now? Okay, well, what I want to say is, first of all, there are limits to what the government can do by itself about are due to supply. You can go back with Can you hear me now? Yes? Okay. First of all, I want to say there are limits to what the government can do about housing prices. I just want to get that out there. It is definitely about prices are determined by supply and demand. And the thing that government needs to do is really to help expand supply of housing at all income levels. We have to start by I know it sounds boring. We have to start by transforming our building and planning department, which ones that help get the permits through and get things built back. Really to do that. I also will continue to advocate for our urban village plans. That's where we've already planned for high density things near jobs and transit, which is so important for affordable living. In addition, I will continue to advocate for a streamlined process for our affordable housing, which is subsidized housing based on your income level, and to ensure that every single project is maximizing the number of units on its site. That's one thing that I've been doing as a council member, and again, what that does is it helps build more housing supply, and that helps with affordability over time. Thank you.
How's this? Okay, great. So as mayor, I will lead the charge both the state and local level to secure sources of funding for affordable housing. I also think it's really important that when families get income loss, that we step in and ensure that they don't become homeless. We need to bridge people and help them transition so that they fall into homelessness because of unexpected income loss. But I think that we also have to acknowledge is how the reality that housing is unaffordable. Is this better? Okay. No? It's cutting in and out. Okay. Testing. I'm just gonna say that housing is unaffordable in our because we have added 6 jobs for every 1 home we've built over the last 10 years. And we have to remove barriers to home building where it makes sense. In places like downtown, transit, we have to reduce those one-time fees, streamline our permitting processes, and make it easier to build the housing we need for our growing population. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry for the technical difficulty. We will introduce our current leader, Yolanda.
Good evening, buenas tardes. My name is Yolanda Bernal Samano, and I am a rocket ship Fuerza parent and a lifelong resident of the downtown San Jose community. In 2019, San Jose Homelessness Census and Survey stated that there were 6,097 homeless people, a 2,000 person increase from 2017, which we only expect has increased since COVID-19 pandemic. If elected mayor, what will you do to support people without homes and create a path for permanent housing?
Candidate Raul Perales.
I'm a little tall. Okay. This is the #1 crisis we deal with. Homelessness has to be a priority for the next mayor. And in fact, our Mayor Liccardo admitted last year in December that this has been the biggest failure under his watch over the last 7 years. We have seen our homeless population grow by the thousands since 2015. I will make this a #1 priority. And don't get me wrong, for anybody here that says they're going to be able to solve homelessness. One mayor, the next mayor is not going to be able to do that. But what we can do is reverse the trend of homelessness. And it's going to take 2 main efforts. #1, we need to build housing. And we need to build specifically supportive housing and shelter to be able to house our individuals that are on the street today. And I'm proud to have been able to lead on what County Supervisor Cindy Chavez helped to bring the money for to actually build the permanent 100% permanent supportive housing here in the city of San Jose. The very first project and the 3rd project in the city of San Jose, housing nearly 300 formerly homeless people. We need elected officials that have the political will to build these projects throughout the entire city. I will continue the success I have had in District 3 and spread that out citywide. Additionally, we need to work better together as partners. And we need to ensure that our county partners are helping those that are suffering and struggling today with mental illness and drug and alcohol addiction. We are failing people in our community today, and we need to do a better job.
Thank you. Next, we will have candidate Marshall Women's.
Hello. Thank you for handling those technical difficulties. I've had a great time running for mayor. It's a really fun experience. But before this, I was living in an RV under the 87 overpass on Santa Clara Street. It was a personal choice, and it was a financial benefit to myself. And what I learned while I was unhoused is that it's more about where you live and the habits in your life that impact your being rather than where you live, right? And so even though I was living in an RV, I had a good life. I was exercising, taking care of my health, eating good, going to school. And I think that's the goal we should set for every person who's currently unhoused. And really what I mean is that there are only 3 clinics for recovery from really the major substances that are hurting our community members. I think we need 13 or 30 clinics all throughout our city to really make sure that every person who's struggling with their health can get the treatment that they need. More specifically, I want to make West Santa Clara Street, which is right here, the pinnacle of what San Jose is and how we treat each other. And that means shutting it down to private automobiles and opening it up for community services like temporary housing structures, like agricultural facilities where we can meet with each other, like educational facilities. I want City Hall to be a place where every single person can get help in some way. They can get food, shelter, water. I will be the mayor who makes sure that every person in this city has a quality of life that is required in this urban area with this amount of wealth. I will fight for my peers, and I will fight for those who really need a strong activist. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next, we will have candidate Matt Mahan. I apologize. Candidate Deb Davis.
Thank you. As a city, we help fund new permanent supportive housing development, as Councilmember Perales told you about, as well as other types of affordable housing. We need to continue doing that, but there has to be a range of solutions for homelessness to get people sheltered as soon as possible. That includes safe parking. It includes partnering with our nonprofit and our faith leaders. It also includes shelters and interim housing sites. They're often called quick build sites, but it's basically a modular unit like a dorm room with a bedroom and a bathroom. We have a responsibility to create places for people to stay, but our homeless residents also have a responsibility to actually take us up on our offer for shelter and services, or they need to move along. I think that's really important to ensure that when we give people an option, they cannot stay in public spaces. Our public spaces have to be publicly accessible for all. But whatever housing solutions that we devise, we have to have safety, sanitation, and services for all of those sites, and that requires a partnership with the county. The city provides the safety and the sanitation, and the county needs to provide the addiction, the mental health, and the job training services to really help people reintegrate back into society and stay housed. Thank you.
Next, we invite candidate Matt Mahan.
We are currently spending a tremendous amount of money to address homelessness, and what we're doing is not working. Number one, we need to build cost-effective shelter, and we need to do it quickly. We are currently spending 5 years to build housing and $850,000 per unit just to house the homeless. That is not scalable. Number two, we have to expand access to mental health and addiction treatment. Our county has just 13 beds for inpatient care per 100,000 people, and we should have at least 50. We have to make those investments in our community. Third, we have to give people pathways to self-sufficiency. We should be expanding jobs programs to give people skills and job placement and help them get back to the dignity of work and earning an income. And finally, when we build humane, safe, individual shelter and it's available, we have to require that people come indoors. The status quo today is frankly unsustainable. It's too expensive, it's inhumane, it isn't working for our community. We can do much better, but we are only going to do better if we hold our elected officials accountable for delivering results more cost effectively and more quickly than we've been doing in recent years. Thank you.
Lastly, we'll have candidate Cindy Chavez.
Hello, everyone. Clearly, I'm a shorter candidate. All right. Well, let me just talk about how important this is. Many of you know that in our community, many of us many people in our community are one paycheck away from becoming homeless. They're a car broken down from becoming homeless, losing a job, not being able to pay medical bills. What that means is that we need to be able to make sure that we don't have people become homeless in the first place. During COVID-19, we kept housed over 20,000 people by giving them less than about $5,000 a household. They stayed housed for 95% at a year. So first, let's stop people from becoming homeless. Second, we got to keep building, and we got to build faster, and we do need to spend the money to give people a decent place to live, that's even if they're very low income. And then last, is my time up? Oh, 30 seconds, okay. And last, we do need to build interim housing so that people can get stabilized. When we put people who are mentally ill in housing now, we're able to keep mentally ill folks who may have a drug or alcohol addiction housed over a 3-year period of time at 90%. What that means is that we have to do more and we have to do it faster.
Next, we would like to introduce our powerful leader, Eva.
Hello, I'm Eva. I'm a community activist, an immigrant, and a taxpayer who has always worked to better our community. Immigrants like myself make up nearly 40% of the San Jose population and have contributed $18.2 billion in tax dollars, local, federal. Although a path to citizenship will be ideal for our community, it has been 40 years since immigrants were granted citizenship as national. It has proven to be impossible to pass legislation recently in the Congress. This January, there was a resolution to investigate the right to vote for non-citizen communities in local elections. Where do you stand in the issue of non-citizen voter rights and the city elections?
We will have candidate Cindy Chavez answer.
Thank you for the question. First of all, let me say that I don't support voting rights until people become citizens. That said, I've spent a lot of my life fighting for immigration reform. And at the county, when President Trump got elected, we, the county, started an Office of Immigrant Relations at my direction, and we invested in being able to make sure that DACA students, Dreamers, and others who were caught in the immigration process had the legal support and services they need. I think it's enormously important that the mayor of this city use the bully pulpit to make a permanent fix, not a small fix, but a permanent fix to immigration. Our voice should be loud and fierce and national.
Next, we will have candidate Matt Mahan.
Well, I oppose the proposal. I voted to have a conversation about it at City Hall and to bring the community together, because I think that when we have issues that affect thousands of our residents, people are organizing and demanding change. At a minimum, we should be willing to come together publicly and have a conversation and a debate and hear from everyone in our community. And I think it is a tragedy that we have families who have been here working hard and paying taxes in our community for years who do not have a pathway to citizenship. I think it is critical as elected officials that we are vocal on this issue, that we organize and advocate and ensure that our elected officials at the federal level are doing absolutely everything they can do to create robust pathways to becoming a citizen. As I've talked to many members of our community, including many recent immigrants, I've heard loudly and clearly that people believe that citizenship comes with special rights and responsibilities, the ability to vote for and hold our elected officials accountable. And I am committed to ensuring, I'm committed to organizing with our community to demand that we get that reform at a federal level that we have waited far too long. Thank you.
Next, we will have candidate Marshall Woodman.
Well, I'm very happy to say that I do support non-citizen voting in city elections. I think there's a lot of room for political reform on our city level. As someone who's ran for office twice, I have a perspective of what I think should change in our city government. And honestly, I don't think civic engagement is that fun. I don't think voting is something we enjoy, and I think we really should. I'm studying global studies, and I've learned a lot about our world. 30% of the world's population lives under a dictator, right? And it's so great that we don't, and yet there's something missing in the way that we talk to each other that I think can be fixed really quickly. One thing I'd like to see done is moving the city government, myself included, out of the 18th floor and into the community. That way that even if we don't have accessible voting right now, we can always engage with an elected official every day. I really want to be in all of our classrooms. I want to be in all your neighborhood association meetings. I want you to help form new neighborhood association meetings. I want to meet you at block parties. I think that civic engagement is a constant system, and it shouldn't just happen once or twice a year during voting season. We need to reform it so that all of us have a say about everything as often as possible. I'm really excited to be a young person in America because there is so many opportunities to create a more just, more equitable society, and it's wonderful to be on the leading end of that. So thank you so much.
Lastly, we will have candidate Raul Peralta.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Marshall. I am proud to stand with Marshall and be the only other candidate that supports expanding voting for non-citizens here in the city of San Jose. My father, as I mentioned earlier, immigrated to this country undocumented as a 12-year-old, much like our dreamers of today. Unbeknownst to him what the consequences were. When I was merely just 3 years old, my father was still undocumented. And we were at risk of potentially being separated from my father. I'm proud that he was able to become a legal permanent resident, and he was a legal permanent resident for nearly 40 years here in the city. He paid his taxes, worked hard, and believe it or not, he was even able to donate to campaigns or donate to measures, but he couldn't vote on them. And that's not right. We should give our tax-paying citizens here in the city of San Jose, our residents here, an opportunity to vote for their elected officials. I am proud to be in favor of that, and I'm proud as your mayor to champion that and ensure that we can expand that right for our community members here. Thank you.
Sorry, Deb Davis will be the last one for this question.
I am a person who's going to tell you the truth, even if it's not popular. I do not support non-citizen voting in local elections, and I was the only council member to vote against moving it forward for a discussion. And that's because, honestly, it's something that's going to be expensive for the city. It's a brand new task for the city clerk, and there are large costs likely to be associated with it. I think it's better for us to spend our time and our resources focused on providing the services that are our responsibility as a city to provide to you, and that are accessible to everybody regardless of their citizenship status. That's important to me. It's important to me to focus our resources and to focus on what we can do well. In addition to that, administrative mistakes are likely, and the stakes are high for our non-citizens. If non-citizens accidentally vote in elections that they're not eligible to vote for, a lawyer told me they could be barred from becoming citizens in the future, and I don't want to put anyone's citizenship status at risk. I want people to be part of our process, which is possible every single day of the week. You can contact any of us, and no one asks about your status, and you don't have to be on any kind of list for anything. I think that's important. As mayor, I will continue to advocate for immigration reform because I do think it is important for everyone to have the opportunity to become a citizen of this country and to be able to have all of the rights and responsibilities that citizenship entails.
Thank you, candidates, for your honesty and your transparency. I would like to introduce one of our amazing teacher leaders, Liz.
Hello, Rocket Ship community. My name is Liz Esqueda. I am a volunteer leader and a teacher at Rocket Ship Mosaic for 3 years now. Being a teacher in Silicon Valley, it breaks my heart to see how many of our vulnerable students are left behind a tech job opportunities that will allow them to have a better life here in Silicon Valley. According to a Wire survey, only 5% of tech employees identify as Latino, Black, or Indigenous. The solution starts in the classroom. Only 31% of Latino students in 3rd grade met or exceeded English language arts in Santa Clara County, according to the 2018 Silicon Valley Latino Report Card. While at Rocket Ship, 51% of 3rd grade through 5th grade Rocketeers met or exceeded English language arts and 61% in math. In comparison to neighboring districts, our kids are outperforming by 11 to 31 percentage points. This is why all our schools have been recognized for their excellence by the California Department of Education. Knowing that high quality education is what will create the fundamental success of our community and our kids, if elected mayor, how do you envision your office can ensure that high quality school options such as Rocket Ship continue to be a thriving part of our San Jose community?
Candidate Matt Mahan.
What you all are doing here at Rocket Ship is nothing short of incredible. Education changed my life. I came to San Jose to access a high-quality education. I came back after college to be a public school teacher here in our community through the Teach for America program. I taught just up the road at Joseph George Middle School, 7th and 8th grade, English and history. This is personal for our family. My wife, who's sitting here, is the president of Cristo Rey Jesuit High School here in our community, and before that was the vice president for Innovate Public Schools. This is something we take seriously, think about, talk about, and work on every single day. So much so that when I ran for council, the local teachers union organized against my campaign. And I am not afraid of any special interests. As mayor, we need a mayor who is going to be a strong and vocal advocate for educational access, choice, equity, excellence for all of our young people, and I will be that mayor. That means advocating at school board meetings, but it also means leveraging the resources of the city to help identify facilities, which is so often how our school districts block the expansion of high-quality, accountable public charters, and I will be that vocal advocate standing alongside this community. Thank you.
Candidate Cindy Chavez.
So first, let me talk about what we're doing now, what I'm doing as a member of the Board of Supervisors. One of the things we know is that over half of all of our children are suffering from mental health challenges, in part because of COVID and the online bullying and other things. So what we've put together is schooling services, which allow for every school, every single school, to make sure they can access services from Gardner, Uplift Family Services, Bill Wilson Center, Allen Rock Counseling Center. So first is we should use our resources to help children in the schools that they're in. Second, we currently invest in making sure that children can get their eyes tested in school, get dental testing in school, and that we sign every child up for health insurance, because one of the things we know is if a child's not feeling well, they're not going to be doing well in school. Third, we have to make sure we continue to invest in after-school programming and summer programming, because we want children to be competitive, and the only way to do that is to make sure that they have all the resources they need. Let me close with this last point. As a city council member, one of the first engagements I had with a charter school was Downtown College Prep. Downtown College Prep got their first location because I partnered with them to do that. My belief is that we have to lift every child up in every school across our county. Thank you.
Candidate Deb Davis.
I support charter schools, and I am glad that parents like you have a choice in where to send your kids where it best meets your kids' needs and your family's needs. Before becoming a council member, I first, just out of college, worked for an organization, you might be familiar with them, the KIPP Foundation, that helps teachers start their own charter schools. After that, I went to Stanford and started studying the outcomes in student academic growth between charter schools and district schools. And what I found is choice matters. It really does matter for every kid to have the choice to be in a school that is appropriate for them. It is the city's responsibility in this area to make sure that land use and permitting is accessible for new schools. As a council member, I met with a prospective charter school and introduced them to a potential site in which to locate in my district, and I will continue that practice as mayor. It's really important, I know I said this before in another question, but our planning and building process needs to be quicker for all types of projects, including charter schools, so that more places can open and parents can have more choices that are appropriate for their kids and for their families.
Candidate Raul Perales.
Thank you. I understand truly the significance and importance of quality education. As I mentioned earlier, my first career was as a substitute teacher here in Santa Clara County, and I've taught at some of the toughest schools here in the county through alternative ed, the Boys Ranch Community Day Schools, and juvenile hall. And in fact, as I became a police officer, I remained a substitute in alternative ed, and I was the first and still am the only active duty officer to also teach in juvenile hall. I'm proud of my support for Rocket Ship over the last 7 years. I have been there for the 3 Rocket Ship schools in District 3 every single time they've reached out for support, whether it's to come forward to be able to meet with the students, or more importantly, whether it's to go and advocate for those schools at the County Office of Education or with the Unified School District here in the city of San Jose. I've been proud to stand with you, and it's evidence the significance and really the power of Rocket Ship schools just based on today. This is the most well-attended candidate forum that we've had this entire primary. So, round of applause to yourselves for showing how important it is for you to be engaged. And this is an example of the power of a quality education, the power of quality schools. And I will continue to be that same strong advocate, not only for our Rocket Ship schools, but for all of our parents, all of our schools here in the city of San Jose, to ensure that our parents and our children have choice and have that quality education.
Candidate Marshall Woodmansee.
Thank you all for still being here. Is it okay if I sing you a little song? The kids need us. We need you. Follow me. We'll make it through. Being raised in the 21st century taught me that we have a lot of difficult challenges ahead of us regarding climate change, biodiversity loss, plastic pollution. And I'm ready to tackle all those challenges, and I know that it starts in our schools. I was homeschooled until the age of 14. I really learned from my community, and I benefited a lot from learning about the Ohlone culture on the Guadalupe, from engaging with the Central YMCA and all of their programs. And I think that giving a youth to something to do outside of the school, education never stops. We are always learning constantly. And I want to use my role as mayor to facilitate an educational environment for all of us every day of the year, to avoid learning loss during the summer, to avoid disconnection, and also more specifically, I would be interested in repositioning parts of the San Jose Police Department budget, which is nearly $500 million, to ending the school to prison pipeline. Another one of my friends has ended up in jail. He's a little younger than me, and it's so sad to know that so many of my peers and those that are going to come after me are going to have some really big challenges. And so that's why I'm so committed to really turning away from corporate and business interests and making sure that each and every one of you has the support you need in the mayor, and that's what I'll do. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and I want to thank all the candidates and all of our Rocket Ship and the greater community for understanding we are a little behind responses. On behalf of the hundreds of parents here today, we thank you for making the community a priority today. We know that the work does not end here. As you continue on your journey, we wish you the best of luck, and we look forward to your continued partnership with our families here today, in whatever capacity you serve the community next. We know this is the beginning of a transformational time in our city, and we look forward to being partners with you all for years to come. And for the hundreds of people joining us today, it starts with voting. For that, I will hand it over to the fierce Yolanda for our call to action before we bring our program to a close.
It is time to call our community to action and elevate the power of our families by ensuring that our community shows up to the polls on June 7th. Today we'll be focusing on registering to vote ourselves or getting our family and family members to get registered to vote. Grab your program and you can scan the QR code. Once you scan the QR code, you will be directed to the Secretary of State website where you can register to vote. If you've already registered, text the link to your family, friends, and community. If you need assistance, please wave to one of our volunteers in teal shirts and they will gladly help you. Let's get at least 100 people to register to vote tonight. Our community had to fight for equal rights, one of them being the right to vote. Together, tonight, united, we will use our vote and our voice as Rocket Ship votes on June 7th. Please raise your hand if you've already registered to vote or shared with your community. Look around and see the power in this crowd. Our community is so powerful and so worth it. Say it loud and proud with me. When I say Rocket Ship, you say votes. Rocket Ship, Rocket Ship, Rocket Ship. Thank you so much. Volunteers, please continue to help our guests register to vote. I feel so energized tonight, and I hope you do too.
I want to thank the more than 1,000 people here with us today. To close our night, I introduce Blanca Carvajal.
Hola a todos, mi nombre es Blanca Carvajal, soy mamá líder, educadora de Rocket Ship Fuerza. Para cerrar nuestras juntas, nos gustaría terminar con el aplauso de la unidad que empezó con el movimiento de los campesinos, con los ídolos organizadores Dolores Huerta y César Chávez.
Hello everyone, her name is Blanca Carvajal. She is a parent leader and educator at Rocket Ship Fuerza. To close our meetings, we'd like to end with a unity clap that started with the farm workers movement with organizing icons Dolores Huerta and César Chávez.
Pido que se pongan de pie para terminar juntos el aplauso de la unidad. El aplauso que empieza lento, se acelera y terminamos con un aplauso.
I ask that we all stand up to finish with our organizing clap. The clap starts slow, it gets faster and faster, and we end with one organized clap.
Yes.
Thank you all for joining us today. For any media that wishes to interview our parent representatives, we ask you to meet us in room number CR5. Candidates, before you take a leave, we would like to take a picture with you all at the front of the stage.